All right, let's try this again. Part of the cast. Janks has had problems with his headphones, but hopefully now he can hear me. Janks, are you there?
I can hear you, but I'm not listening through my headphones, so I don't know what exactly is going to happen here, but we're about to find out if it's just going to push back a big echo to everyone else.
No, I think we're okay. Anyway, welcome to Card Authority minicast number 6, Footy Stars 2021 first look and chat. Thank you everyone for the patience of trying to find the stream. Obviously, we did have to bump the stream there previously, but we're back on track now. I was just saying I love these daytime broadcasts because that means we are talking about a new release. And the new release we are talking about, no echo, fantastic. Thank you, Sherry. Is Footy Stars 2021, which we had an exclusive announcement last week on Card Authority that was going to be shown or released, should I say, pre-sale release in 2021. Turn your phone down, Janks. That is giving echo. All right,
my phone's not on.
No, we're fine. Everyone's saying it's okay. We can carry on. Don't stress.
All right.
So we've been very lucky, as always. Select have once again stepped up the plate and brought Lynn Gilmartin, who we've talked about before, is a fantastic presenter from the WPT. She's come on board as the Select ambassador and has rolled out 2 previews out of a possible 9, I think. I saw that somewhere. And she has been talking about the first sneak peeks of the cards. So obviously we're going to go through a little bit about what we've seen. We don't really know any more information than you guys do, but certainly fire away questions and let's talk about what we've seen. So yesterday, Janks, we obviously talked in detail that they showed the common cards from Footy Stars 2021.
Yeah.
What were your first views on the commons that you saw yesterday?
So base cards I saw yesterday. So first opinion is I thought the AFLW ones actually look better than the normal base ones.
How good they looked really good, didn't they? I love that.
AFLW ones look really good. I think, look, in general terms, the base cards are base cards. They probably look more playful. Probably the colors and stuff pop a lot more than what they've done for the previous couple of years with the really simplistic base. Look, I don't know. They look almost maybe a little bit retro-y sort of thing, maybe, if that's the right way to describe it. I think they look all right. They didn't jump out at me as being anything amazing, but certainly the AFLW cards jumped out as me as looking really, really nice, yeah.
Yeah, and I certainly had the same feeling. I thought the AFLW cards reminded me a little bit of the old Future Force cards.
Yeah.
The black strip down the side.
Yeah.
Which I thought were good. And I guess the commons or the base for the men's looked very similar to almost Dominance 19, where it was kind of like the white background with the silhouette behind it. So I thought they were, I mean, at the end of the day, we're talking about common cards here. But the overall consensus and feedback was that definitely the AFLW cards were really good.
Yeah.
And obviously, look, we're starting to get a few people on the stream now. So if you guys have got any feedback at all, certainly send that through. I noticed that there seems to be a little bit of a trend of green seems to be the color this year.
It looks like they're theming that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I don't know whether that's going to be a trend that they're going to use for the albums and some other cards down the track, but that definitely seems to be the color of the series.
Yeah.
Andrew Bennett with a question. AFLW look great, but 3 per team again is a joke. Surely do at least 10 per team. Yeah, look, not sure about that, Andrew. I guess it's probably about collation and numbers that they need to be able to distribute cards in an even enough fashion. That would be my guess.
Fit all the cards in the packet. The other one that I've always found interesting, and I've seen obviously a couple of people comment on it over the last couple of days as well, is the number they do of each players. So like doing 10 or 11 as opposed to 9, and how that then works for layouts of people's folders and stuff like that. And look, I tend to agree with that. It must be something to do with the production side of things, I'm assuming. It could be twofold. It could be one, production and the way things are printed, but it maybe also is a requirement of maybe the AFL that they have to represent a certain amount of players or something like that. I don't know, but I've always actually found that a bit odd too, is why don't they just keep it in 9 so it's fully symmetrical and lays out properly in a folder?
Well, they did say yesterday, and they didn't answer the question, that there were 8 players that they were using. Do you think perhaps there could be a logo? So it might actually make it 9?
Yeah, like a header card.
Like a header card?
It's maybe, from memory, normally header cards are pretty exclusive to hobby product and to Series 2, so that's quite possible.
Yeah.
I suppose that begs the question then, if they're going to do that, then obviously I think we expect anyway we're going to see a prestige type of release after how successful that was last year as well. So,
yeah. No, fair enough. Well, look, I think overall the first look at the common cards were pretty good. Obviously, you can't get too excited about common cards. I did like in the video, though, when Lynn turned around the header card, that clearly they had the checklist on the back and they put some nice little question marks there to keep you guessing a little bit.
I like how they did that. Yeah, that was very cool.
Yeah, I don't know whether that was a little bit of a post-production gaffe that they went, oh, shit, we're just going to reveal the whole series there.
Yeah.
So we better hide it. But I thought that was good. It added a nice little bit of an element of surprise.
Yeah.
So today, moving on to today's release, and I know you have been out at meetings all day. For people that haven't seen, they've got a holographic parallel in every single packet. And these cards are like a swirly holo with, I presume, the same 8 players that they have from the base cards.
Yeah. So the listeners know and the viewers know, you absolutely deep-ended me here about 30 seconds before we went on to do the podcast. I did say, like, had a very busy morning, and I saw the very early videos that popped out this morning, but otherwise I haven't in depth. Like, I glanced at it once, so I haven't even looked, but I saw all the feedback seems to be very positive at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. So did you see that? Have you actually seen the holos now? Have you seen a picture of them?
Yeah. So I saw what the holo looks like. And then I think there was 2 variations of Starburst, was there? One that's
Yeah. So, look, I guess the first thing about the holo is, what I loved about it is that there's a holo in every single packet. So no longer are you sort of getting that scenario where there's effectively dead packets in a box, or 10 dead packets in a box, I guess, that every card is going to have something that is collectible and a chase card in theory.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really, really good sign.
Yeah. And so I think I also noticed as well that the first burst, I wasn't paying that much attention to the second one, but the first one that was in the video today, so the second card, which was the first burst, there's like a gloss coating over it as opposed to the matte coat, which all the ones last year seemed to have like a matte or a satin finish over them, whereas these ones on the video looked glossy. And I suppose the difference, when I say glossy, think like a dominance card, like a dominance, as in like the dominance, dominance. Like that gloss sort of coating on the front. Did it look like that to you as well?
Well, look, it's hard to say from the thing. And look, as you just mentioned, there were 2 Starbursts that were released today that they showed. There was a camo one, which is 1 in every 2 packets, I believe. And then there was a Starburst Lightning, which is the first numbered card we've seen in the series, which was numbered to 210, I believe it was. And it was the same players that were in the Starburst camos.
I'm just going to address the most recent comment that just popped up because I really want to have a shot at trying to say this name here. It's an absolute ripper.
Yeah, all
right, here we go. Maximiliano El Magico Alvarado.
Great.
We are talking about Footy Stars 2021 off the back of the previews that have just come out is what we're talking about. What a name. That is unreal.
Yeah. Yeah. And as Kelly and also Peter said too there, it looks like those holos are replacing the dreaded jigsaw pieces from last year. So,
oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. So, look, obviously, anyone that's...
Yeah, we would have seen a jigsaw already. That's right.
Yeah. And look, the jigsaws, I can understand, were a lot of fun for kids. But, yeah, I know if someone that has to send a lot of cards and certainly do things like that, yeah, the jigsaws were a pain in the ass, and they were thick and they were heavy. So, Kane, absolutely spot on. It does look great. I love the look of the holo cards too.
Was there two variations of burst, and one of them is numbered? So is one of those is effectively the leopard, and then one of them is the replacement for a galactic? Is that right?
Yeah, I imagine so. So I think there's like, you're gonna test me here now, but I think it was the galactic one, or which is now the lightning, is going to be like 1 in every 2 boxes or 3 boxes or something like that.
Yeah, I think they said 1 in every 72 packets on average. Yeah. So that's one in every 2 boxes. So that's the equivalent of the galactic. So I think now, since we've seen these first few previews, we can probably start to forecast a little bit, not definitively, but we can probably forecast a bit what's going on here now. We can look back at 2020, and then we can look at this year and go, okay, so We think the jigsaws are gone and have been replaced by a legitimate insert now, which is the hollow. We've seen the equivalent of a leopard, which is the camo Starburst?
Which I think looks good. I'm not a huge Starburst fan, but it looked really good. I thought it looked good.
And then they've effectively shown today one of the box hits, which is 1 in 2 boxes, because it's going to be a variant. It'll offset against something else. So obviously last year we saw premiership predictors and Brownlow predictors.
Yep.
So, and then we obviously saw the fireworks and stuff. But the way it worked was you would get the fireworks in every box. So I think the expectation is we're still going to see something. There's still something to come that's going to be 1 in every box. The Galactic is effectively 1 in every 2 boxes, because it's going to offset against a Prem predictor or a Brownlow predictor, which would make sense.
Yep.
Are we going to see a big 1 in 2 case hit again here, a showstopper or something like that?
Well, yeah, Ash has literally just asked that question. He's excited to see, and we talked about the other week about whether it might be this new showstopper Platinum, or maybe it might be a SIG or something like that. My gut feeling is it won't be a SIG because it's a Series 1 release, but maybe it could be a new variation of the showstopper. So that will that'll be sick.
The showstopper one's interesting though. Like, I know we talked about it last week a little bit. They've done a gold and a silver. The door is certainly open for a platinum. However, if they threw a platinum showstopper into this series, do we then start asking more questions about, well, what happens with prestige? Is there actually going to be prestige? Because what do you do? You could do a diamond showstopper or whatever it is, but
or the SIG.
Or a showstopper signature, which has been rumored in the past. Yeah, that's a good call. That's a good call.
Yeah. But that also begs the question now, if we were at preview number 2 of 9, there's still a lot of cards for them to talk about.
Okay, so is there definitely 9 previews, is there? Is that...
I mean, I'll check on the Select website here. I vaguely remember yesterday...
She said that, Lynn said that.
Yeah, or there was 1 of 9 or something like that. Yeah, so yesterday it said reveal 1/9.
Okay.
So that means there's 7 more reveals.
Wow. Okay, so there's actually going to be more hits than what we're thinking here. So let's consider. So we've got a box hit that's coming that's going to replace a firework. Let's expect that. So let's call that preview number 3.
Yep.
Then we expect there's going to be Brownlow predictors. So we'll say preview number 4.
Yep.
Then we're thinking there's going to be premiership predictors.
Yep.
So preview 5.
Yep.
What are the other 4 previews going to be?
Well,
there'll be a big 1 in 2 case hit, so the big showstopper or whatever.
Big showstopper, yep. So
we've still got 3 to slot in there. We need a replacement for like a blue die cut.
Yep. Maybe like they ran milestones, didn't they, in the first Footy Stars?
Yeah, milestones as well. Okay, milestones.
So maybe there might be some sort of milestone card.
Plus and then a die cut replacement for that guaranteed second insert per packet. Because if something replaced the jigsaw, then there should be something. Okay, so we're still 1 short.
Yeah, and there must be something else coming, which is exciting. Yeah.
Interesting.
So, look, I think it's really good the way that they leak these out. Obviously, it gives us good things to talk about here, and obviously everyone gets excited. And as I said, I think I'm a little bit biased. Obviously, I'm friends with Lynn, but it's great that they're bringing in a professional operation, a professional production to actually run us through these things. Oh, yeah, Steve, the Contested Beast.
Contested Beast, geez.
Yeah.
So many releases, I've forgotten everything out of them.
All becomes a blur. Yeah, so maybe they're going to do that again, or maybe there might be a variation of that, something like that.
I thought the Contested Beasts are a fantastic looking card. That's the type of card that you throw. It's almost like the Contested Beast should have been a numbered card in Series 2, and On the Rise should have been an unnumbered card in Series 1.
Yeah.
Like, I reckon those Contested Beasts were a hot-looking card when they came out. The only problem was every time you started to peel one through the packet, you thought it was a showstopper.
Yeah, for sure. A good question here from Cameron. The thing about the showstoppers is the 2 best players from each team have already been used. Who would be a better player on the Platinum? Well, I know, for example, that for Richmond, obviously I know them really well, it seemed like the silver showstoppers were more junior and up-and-coming players, like they did Sydney Stack. They weren't the mainstream Jets. So I kind of feel like there is always new players or new people that are rising, and then there's always studs. And, from Richmond, it could be Trent Cotchin, it could be Dion Prestia, it could be all sorts of things.
At a personal level, I'd love to see more showstoppers so I can actually get someone decent as opposed to Seb Ross.
Yeah,
very good.
I actually just really hope they're just Seb Ross in both of them.
No.
That would be the best outcome for everyone.
Jeez.
So look, yeah, really, really fantastic. I think obviously, look, it's hard for us to speculate too much because we don't know anything and we've got to wait for the previews like everyone else. But once again, we've got to give credit to Select where it's due. They have obviously announced when it was released, which we were lucky enough to be able to give that information last week. And now they're going through a process building all the way up to the 21st of February, talking about the cards and getting everyone excited. It felt like, we were in a little bit of a lull after Brilliance. Brilliance was a little bit of a time extension almost, like we thought the season was over. They brought stuff for us. And then, bang, out comes another premium release. So it's really nice after a little bit of a 1 to 2 month hiatus that we've got some real excitement and buzz going on again about the industry.
It definitely feels like the standard has lifted, as it probably should. We're talking about a hobby that's absolutely going nuts at the moment, but it feels like this is, again, I saw someone said it just up in the comments there before, it's very, I think it was Kane said, it's very much has more of a dominance, more of a Series 2 feel to it already. And I don't know if it's because of the effective marketing and the videos and that it'll all look schmick and everything, or if it's the cards or a combination of both. I don't know exactly what it is, but I don't know. It feels different to me than it has the last couple of years. Like the hype train is real. And that then presents the situation of, well, what's going to happen here with a Series 1? Are we going to see a Series 1 release literally like just go boom, straight off the shelf out the gate, as opposed to a product that sticks around for 6 to 9 months, that you can find all over the place? Is this going to be, are we going down the same path here as what we just did with Dominance, Brilliance, Prestige and whatnot last year?
Well, I was going to ask you the same question. What do you think the real chance is that this sells out in? Like, I can't say there's so much of it. I can't see it selling out in 3 seconds. But is this going to be the product that's going to sell out in 24 hours?
Well, it's certainly it's one of those things. It's a larger produced product which goes to a very broad audience in terms of where it's available from. So the reality is, I suppose, the hobby products such as Dominance and Brilliance was available for the most part from the single source or primary source, and then a couple of external hobby sources.
Yep.
Whereas this one is available, I suppose, traditionally at supermarkets and servos and newsagents and everything like that as well, which means it will take longer for people to acquire it. But I'm interested to see what happens with the direct-to-customer sales again, and does it just go huge from the outset? And does Select end up selling the amount they've allocated themselves effectively for online? And then is there a huge rush on the physical bricks and mortar retail? Will people just be running into stores trying to buy up everything?
And Cameron certainly mentioned that. I guess that's also going to probably tie into what Select actually set as the buying limits. Are we going to be able to buy 1 case, 2 case, 3 cases like we did? My gut feeling is the days of buying multiple cases are going to be over, but it probably seems common sense that you're going to be able to buy a case. I don't know. What's your gut feel?
I'm conflicted because I don't know. I feel like I'm trying to keep a lid on it at the moment, but mate, it just feels like the hobby is just raring to go at the moment. People want to break down like, we all just want packets in our hands. We want to rip them open. Let's do this. Like, we need it. We've been waiting a little while. And of course we had Brilliance, but that was a single break. You know what I mean? You just opened one box, and obviously it's amazing, but give me some boxes and packets. I need to fulfill that hunger. And I feel like if I feel that way, a lot of people probably feel that way. And I think you start to couple that now with the scale of the breaks market and the speculation that's taking place, and just the fact that this is also for kids and stuff as well. This could go a lot bigger than what I'm anticipating, a lot bigger and quicker than I'm anticipating. I certainly think either way it's a sellout. It's how long does it take to sell out, but it should be the first year of ever a Series 1 sellout, I would say, for this mainline product.
And Ashley makes a good point there. I think, depending on what the buying limits are, people will probably go and try to get it from the newsagent and supermarket.
I'd love to know if anyone out there has actually spoken to a local store news agency server and asked the question about, are you getting Footy Stars and can it be pre-ordered? I'd love to know. If you just drop a comment if anyone has inquired about that, and maybe AJ, when you next reach out to the guys at Select, maybe it's worth asking the question whether they've been getting inquiries from their account holders about pre-orders and stuff. Because that would be really the next step of moving towards the international model of NBA, which, talking about that, I'm waiting for my pre-orders from Zing and EB to turn up. Where are my hoops?
Stephen, you asked a good question. Look, this is probably more a question for us to talk about on Card Authority, a normal episode. But I think, PayPal, obviously we're hearing a lot of stuff in the NBA industry at the moment where people are running into some problems. And I know you showed me something the other day, Jenks, about some NBA breakers getting in trouble or losing access to their PayPal. To be honest, my gut feeling is everyone's going to move to Pay ID or bank accounts really soon. Like, I know we've been talking about it a little bit about how to structure some things for our business, before the worst case scenario happens. But clearly there's going to be a change in landscape. And also there's some things going on with eBay and PayPal. I think they're separating. Is that right?
eBay, who owned PayPal, has sold PayPal a few months ago, and there's a divergence taking place. As you said, I think this is probably a topic and a conversation we can cover in depth in the next proper episode.
Yeah, good.
And there's a lot of talk about it, a lot of people asking questions at the moment. Fortunately for us, and I'm not trying to sound like we know absolutely everything, but given we operate in this space, we have a very, very good understanding of how it all does work. And I suppose between now and when we do discuss it in depth, all I would say is, like everything else on the internet, just be wary of what you're reading, because different things have different motives behind them, and they're also out of context. So when we say PayPal banning RAS payments and break payments and things like that, I
told you, it's the risk of kids coming in during the day.
It may not necessarily fully be the case. We need to consider that PayPal is just a payment gateway, and the whole debate about goods and services and family and friends, they're just two different forms of a payment. One provides buyer protection, one doesn't. And a good thing I did was explain to someone yesterday that it's like when you go into a shop, you're given the option to pay via various form of credit cards, or you can pay with a debit card. You pay with a debit card, there's no fees associated with it. You pay with a credit card, and the merchant, the store, has to pay fees on it. But the difference is you pay with a debit card, there's no buyer's protection. You pay with a credit card for the 2 or 3% that the shop's involved in the transaction, or that they pass on to the customer. You're getting buyer's protection.
G'day, Elliot. How are you? All right. Well, and look, we'll talk about this more in depth, and obviously a few questions are coming through here. Michael said, look, this is the only product that the average Joe can actually get without the prices going nuts. Well, you're right, but I mean, I've heard some stories even this week that Footy Stars 2020 is up to like $180 or $190 a box on the secondary market. So that's almost double in price in 12 months. Yeah. I think there's going to be more stock around for people to get. But with the hype and what we've said many, many times, the supply is getting completely outstripped by the demand these days.
Yeah. And I think just to add to that, I think where we start to run into a problem, I think Michael's correct that there always needs to be a product that every person has access, especially the kids.
Yep.
And I think, the marketplace is the market, and the market decides itself what the levels of demand are going to be. I think what we need to continue to do as participants in the market is make sure that we're holding all the manufacturers and all the producers to account with respect that they need to ensure that they are putting these type of products onto market, and they're not price hiking it. Like, I don't want to see what happens with NBA hoops at a retail level where it goes above its own recommended retail on the shelf happen to something like this. As long as this product maintains at like that $3 a packet price point, or maybe could even go up to $4 a packet price point, I think it's good. I don't want to see this at a store level at a news agency where it's costing $8 over the counter.
No, that's suicide for the product. That's right.
Yeah.
But I think probably, it's going to be a natural progression as these releases get better and there's more things in it and they're more in demand. They're probably going to go from $2.99 to $3.99. It seems a logical step. And I think for people, people aren't going to care too much. Like they'll reduce the amount of packets in the box or something like that. I think there's ways that they can do it where people are still getting that $100 a box kind of price range.
Totally. And that's the thing. Like, I don't even think I think it's more about the actual price point. You want to make sure that a kid can still have a couple of gold coins and be able to buy their packet of cards.
Yep, absolutely.
That is, I think, the key to it. So making sure that at a price point, the kids can still go in and get it.
Well, I just sent a message here. We asked if anyone had spoken to anyone, and Steve here says that he's a manager at Woolies and they've increased their order for their store. So
Wow.
that's interesting. And I
Yeah.
wonder how many people are going and asking other stores like that to do the exact same thing. Yeah, Peter, we spoke about this Carlton BNF thing the other week. We don't know, mate. We haven't got an answer on it yet. But I imagine my best guess is it's going to be a redemption or they'll just give it to Cripps. But I would say, yeah.
Just give it straight off that.
Just give it to Cripps, yeah. But I suggest they'll probably do something about that. What's this, Maximillo? It's the sites where you can find out what cards are good collectibles, what odds to learn. Well, I mean, obviously, there's plenty of good resource sites you can go and look at. Obviously, Card Authority has heaps of stuff in previous episodes, but there's plenty of other groups and things like that you can go and ask questions about different cards. eBay is obviously a great resource to see prices and cards that are being sold and demand and things like that. But just involve yourself in the community, mate. There's plenty of really, really good groups around here that can ask tons of questions, and everyone will be really, really helpful. Asher, will this release affect Team Coach? I don't know. I think Team Coach and Footy Stars have been running similar release dates forever, is my understanding.
I think normally Team Coach comes out a little bit after Footy Stars, a couple of weeks later. Yep. I think traditionally, obviously, Team Coach is much more, as you know, Asher, having a young child yourself and me being in the same boat, Team Coach is very ingrained amongst the kids. Yep. So I think Team Coach, regardless, continues to keep moving to the kids because it's
different.
It's in their market, but I think Footy Stars does this product begin to capture more of the kids' market? I'm not sure if that's what you're asking, and I'd say that the market, both at a collector's level and a kids' level, because it trickles down, is probably bigger. So both brands have an opportunity here to do a bit better with their Series 1.
Yeah, absolutely.
G'day, Johnny Lou, and happy birthday for yesterday, Jonathan Lou.
Happy birthday, Johnny. And I think, look, just to add to that with Asher, is that I think that if Footy Stars sells and sells out quick, I mean, it's surely got to be good for Team Coach too, because there's just going to be this huge hunger and demand of cards from all the collectors. And I mean, we will do some stuff on Team Coach in the next couple of weeks or month when we get some more information about it. But I mean, I imagine it's just going to be great for everybody, like all the card companies. So it's a good time to have an AFL card license, that's for sure.
You would think so. I would think this is probably the point where Team Coach, probably they see the benefits of Select growing the overall market over the last 12 months, with the hobby growing and Select really, being very reactive and proactive in a sense to growing the market. I think...
And that's a good point from Peter.
You see more opportunities for Team Coach now. Maybe it goes back to being much more collectible like it was in the early 2000s.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Well, look, guys, thank you very much for all your contributions today. Obviously, me and Jenks could sit here and talk for hours, as we always do. We will obviously keep our eyes on the Select Facebook page and Instagram. If you haven't gone and followed them, make sure you do that. Make sure you go and follow Card Authority. We will continue to report back as these releases come. We all look forward to what the number 3 preview will be. Hopefully it's going to be some great stuff that we can continue to talk about. And I cannot wait until order day and then whatever it'll be 6-7 days later when we actually get some cards in our hands.
Yeah. So 21st of February is the day that everyone can pre-order, and I think what is it, around the first week of March is when it gets delivered, yeah?
Yeah, historically, I imagine it's probably going to be Monday week after it, so that sort of ends up being the first.
First and second, the first. So probably it'll be available on the shelf, you would think, somewhere around the first, but we'll hopefully by our next broadcast, we'll have a confirmation on that.
Yep.
And hopefully by that next episode, we will have seen a bunch of previews. So I suspect we're going to do a full-scale, big chat around Footy Stars around next Wednesday or Thursday, yeah?
Well, I reckon we might try to squeeze a mini cast in on Monday, pending what previews get put over the weekend.
Yeah.
And then we'll do a normal Card Authority episode next week, probably to tie in with the end of the previews. So... Yeah. Look, thank you for everyone for joining us. Make sure you go and have a look at those previews from the wonderful little Lynn Gilmartin on Select. Get excited. start saving your pennies. There's going to be lots of fun to be had. And on a personal level, I can't wait. And on a Card Authority level, I can't wait to talk to you guys all about it in the future. Jenks, thank you. Elliot, thank you. Thank you for your contribution. And thank you, everyone, for joining in with us on a very gloomy and wet Friday afternoon here in Melbourne. Jenks, always a pleasure.
Yes, mate. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining us. And we'll see you in a few days' time. Make sure you hit up the page if you've got any other questions, comments, or anything like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Ciao.